Welcome back to the Holler, tnholler.com, at the TN Holler on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all that good stuff. We also have Hollers hollering across the state. Thanks to your support. We always appreciate that. Chipping a few bucks a month to get one of these Holler hats like the one I'm wearing. The shout out to Elisa Parker. If you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee, please do it through Elisa. If you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who you should call. And if you need insurance, Peggy Hubbard is our latest sponsor. We appreciate them very much. All right. So today we are going to talk about something that I think is on everybody's minds right now. It is important to process those things. So to do that, we're going to talk to somebody who's putting themselves out there running for governor of our state of Tennessee, Councilwoman Jerri Green. Jerri, how are you today?
I'm good, holding up, stuck in the house with a lot of kids in the snow, probably same as you.
Yes, I am trying to process the horror show coming out of Minnesota. Our hearts are obviously with the people of Minneapolis right now. Your top line reaction to what I'll call the murder of Alex Preddy at the hands of ICE agents. He was filming ICE. They pushed a woman. He stepped in. They pepper sprayed him, tackled him to the ground. There were 4 of them that had subdued him. He was legally carrying a weapon. And right after they took it off his person, another one of them pumped a half a dozen rounds into him. They shot him 10 times after his gun was gone and killed him. So what was your reaction when you saw all that?
First off, as a criminal defense attorney, I'll say I think you have correctly categorized it as a murder. I hope it's a tipping point for Americans. It's not anymore about right or left. It's about right or wrong. Our government has masked goons killing Americans, exercising their First and Second Amendment rights in broad daylight. We can no longer sit on the sidelines. I certainly am doing something by running for governor. Now is not the time just to retweet. Now is the time to get off the sidelines and figure out how you can get plugged in to change the direction of our country.
So I got to ask you a question that I've asked a bunch of candidates. Do you think ICE should continue to exist?
Well, I want to first off say yes, there are certain parts of enforcement. So there's 2 parts of ICE. One part is HSI, Homeland Security investigations. They work on human trafficking. They work on drug cartels. That piece of immigration enforcement, we need to keep our community safe. What we're seeing in the streets is the ERO, the enforcement arm, the thugs, the goons, the illegal actors that absolutely have to go. They are terrorizing communities extrajudicially. They're doing this without warrants, without cause. These are civil penalties. They're treating people like criminals, locking them up, deporting. Absolutely has to go. I do think there is a way for us to move forward with working on the issues that are real in immigration. We can't say that human trafficking isn't a thing. It should probably go back underneath the DOJ. Now, I understand our DOJ at the moment is also a wacky place, doesn't follow the laws as it should, but that too needs reform. These are processes that should be happening in a regular court procedure. I'm an attorney. I believe that we should be taking care of these things in a regular court process. We should not be arresting people, disappearing people, tackling, spraying, pistol whipping, kidnapping children. That is beyond the pale. That has to end now. We should absolutely be defunding this department until it is completely reorganized and moved. That enforcement piece around the problems that we see that may come along with immigration, that needs to be moved into the DOJ where they do take care of criminal things. The rest of it needs to go away.
Okay, so I freely admit that I'm not a lawyer. Maybe I'm just a layman and, I'm oversimplifying here, but my perspective is this is a department basically has become like a federal jobs guarantee for insurrectionists and Proud Boys. And, they're running around doing whatever they want with complete and total immunity, no accountability. I don't even know if we're ever going to find out what the names of these agents that did this. Obviously, today we're seeing coordinated lying campaign from the regime. This call for abolishing ICE, it's really simple. It's like, this is a department that is out of control. Bill Kristol is even saying abolish ICE. So
absolutely,
I guess what I'm just looking for something simple. Like, do you, as the candidate for governor, agree with the notion ICE should be dismantled and no longer exist? Like, simple.
Yes. I just want to be clear that there are pieces around immigration enforcement that we do have to take care of. That needs to be moved completely out of ICE. That needs.
But I guess when I hear that, I think so when I think of dismantling ICE, that department has to be evaporate. The idea of just moving this in under a new department, like
No,
it
no, no,
sounds a
no.
little bit like you're saying,
No, no, no.
the same
I,
people just under a different name, like
No,
that.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. Again,
Okay.
there are two arms. One is the judicial arm, investigates broad ranging immigration issues. They're not the your neighbor has been here on a visa too long. Human trafficking, drug warfare, larger issues. That needs to move into the Department of Justice. That's where it belongs. That's where it was until we created this thug squad that is terrorizing people. That judicial legal piece, we can't get rid of. That's all I'm saying. We do need to get rid of everything that you're talking about, everything we've seen on these videos, people who are getting $50,000 bonuses, like you said, January 6 people, untrained, who are hyped up on testosterone, are using guns on our citizens in the streets in broad daylight, killing mothers, killing ICU nurses. Absolutely unacceptable, has to be done away with. 100% day one. If I was in charge, that's what would happen. I just don't want to lose the piece that like we're going to do no immigration enforcement.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think that's
and
what
I
anybody's saying.
understand I'm being a lawyer about this, but I just
Sure.
want to be clear as a governor, like I do believe in the rule of law.
Because I think there are some Democrats who are saying what we need is reform.
No,
We need more
no,
training. And it's like,
no, 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 no.
more
The
training to teach
no,
people how to do what. Like, so that's I think
no.
what people are,
Like
reacting
the
to.
answer to, I just saw this on Twitter today. I think the answer to concentration camps was not better training for the guards,
That's what I mean.
right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So no, no, absolutely not. That's not where we are. That's not what we need. But we do have to hang on to some form of protecting people who are hurt by certain things in our community. Human trafficking to me is one that I find particularly horrific. And I don't want us to say that we're not going to enforce anything. Let that go. But no, I'm not talking about rebranding, retraining, none of that. No, these people have to go. This is terrorizing our communities.
Okay. So as a lawyer, federal agents took over the crime scene. State investigators tried to go in.
So to be clear, you said you got a signed judicial warrant to gain access and were still denied by federal agents?
We had a signed warrant and we were still denied access to the scene. That's accurate. Correct.
I, again, am not a lawyer. Sounds like we're fucking cooked. For them to say, we got a warrant, and even then they wouldn't let us in. I mean, this is a lawless regime operating with impunity and immunity, as JD Vance put it. They're disregarding judges' orders. Like, how big of a deal is that?
Huge. Nobody is above the law. There is no blanket protection or immunity just because you're an ICE agent. I mean, we have eyes, we have brains. You don't have to be Georgetown law grad to understand this. That was murder. Both in Tennessee and in Minnesota law, premeditation can take a couple of seconds. The things they look at for especially police officer shootings are like, was there a break in the shooting? So like we heard one shot and then a bunch more. Were there multiple shots? Was the person already subdued? All of that points to this was a murder. Point blank, the end. The idea that current DHS and president think they are above the law is frankly un-American. We don't believe in this country that anyone is allowed to murder citizens in the street without accountability. That's terrifying to me as an attorney, as somebody who fights every day for the Constitution. He was quite literally exercising his First and Second Amendment rights and was killed for it. He was out protesting. He had a gun and he had a carry permit, which we don't even have to have here in Tennessee. Just FYI, anybody can have a gun. While he was exercising his First and Second Amendment rights, he was murdered in the streets by masked, armed men for no reason. He never drew his gun. He never put his hand on the trigger. They have no reason to tackle somebody who is literally trying to pick a woman up, remove his gun, and then shoot him. They cannot use more force than he used.
I'm trying to get us to where the conversation, in my opinion, should be. I think we're past the idea. We're debating whether or not this was legitimate. We all know it wasn't. This regime is going to try to lie their way through it. They are disregarding the law. And now what? We don't have law and order anymore. What do we do?
We can't let them take our power from us. We do still have power in this situation, getting active in this election and the next election and making sure that we take to the streets, that we start supporting people that are going to fight back, that would handle things differently. We have got to take our power back. We saw it with George Floyd. We saw it here in Memphis with Tyree Nichols. When people get active, when people start pushing back, when people start speaking truth to power, change can happen. We saw it in the civil rights movement. I mean, we just passed MLK Day here in Memphis. I'm sure there were many times when those who fought for those rights thought that there's no point. What are we doing? They're not going to listen to us. They're in charge. We have no power. You can't let them take your power from you.
I agree with you. Right now, I'm trying to process this idea of just people going on these national shows and just like openly lying to us. Bovino, I mean, this guy is pathological. Like where they found all these sociopaths is amazing.
It feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents. The victim are the Border Patrol agents.
We are so far past reason. Orwell would be like, whoa, these people are out of their fucking minds.
Make
I don't even
Orwell
think
fiction again.
Yeah, make Orwell fiction again. Exactly right. That's probably going to be the name of this episode now. What do we do when the people in charge are this pathological?
Again, we have to continue to speak truth to power. They are blatantly lying, and truly, they keep finding this guy and Stephen
This
Miller.
guy.
They look like cartoon Nazis. Like they don't even look like real people. I don't know where central casting is getting them. And I keep seeing it in my comments too. There's a lot of bots out there that are continuing to say who the victim is and who the suspect is. Do you have all the facts? Do you know everything? Were you there on the ground? I have eyeballs.
Right.
I have a brain. I have a heart. So we have to continue to get on programs like this, and then we have to go knock doors and get people out to vote, talking to people at your church, having those uncomfortable conversations with your family members. The NRA came out and said, hey, this wasn't right.
Sort of.
Like,
They
we're
didn't
at a
quite say
point
that,
now-
but they did say something, which was for them a lot. And especially when this is what they've said in the past, shall not be infringed, shall not be infringed. Now the line seems to be from the regime that you're not allowed to show up at a protest with guns.
I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign.
Apparently, the Second Amendment is only for Trump supporters. This was another one. This is Kash Patel.
As Christie said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest.
These are the
not true.
Republicans that have been telling us you need a gun to protect yourselves from tyranny.
They want
after
teachers to
Covenant?
have guns in schools. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
I don't even know the mental hurdles that they must be going through. We do have a Second Amendment right. I am a gun owner. I have started having to carry my gun on me in a lot of places because I have received death threats, multiple, credible, that have resulted in arrest here in Memphis. I carry my gun in a lot of places. That doesn't mean that somebody can kill me.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, for a while, I was assigned a 5-person security detail. Cops sat outside my house. Had to wear a bulletproof vest when I was campaigning. They alerted all the local authorities to come and have a presence at every stop that I made on the campaign trail across the state. Multiple arrests. These are people who called my personal cell phone and made a specific threat about when they would kill me. People that have me in a manifesto and have the make and model of my cars, our license plates, and our children's names. These are serious. This is what I deal with every day. So I have a gun, so I carry it with me. I do lock it and store it. I am a safe gun owner. The point is, we either have that Second Amendment right or we don't. Tired of being told these rules for you, but not for me. That's the point of this whole administration. I mean, think about immigration. They want to end birthright citizenship. Does that mean our first lady is not going to be a citizen anymore? Everything just applies to other. They want to continue to divide us, couching it different terms to say, like, this is how we keep you safe. They just came out yesterday and sent a letter and said, hey, we'll take ICE out if you'll give us the voter
Right,
database.
right,
It's
exactly.
absolutely mob tactic extortion.
This was the ransom note that we need your voter rolls if you want us to leave. Basically, this is all one big extortion racket that they're using to preserve power. See that this was never about immigration. This is not about keeping people safe. 66% of the homicides in Minnesota were ICE killing people this year so far.
American citizens
American
in broad
citizens.
daylight
Yes.
using their First Amendment right to free speech.
It's
Think
also
about that.
hypocritical. We've always been told that the reason they need to have so many guns is to protect themselves from a tyrannical government. Well, it turns out y'all are supporting the tyrannical government.
Yeah, the don't tread on me people are real quiet.
Right. Don't
now.
tread on me always meant tread on you, apparently.
Apparently, using these fear tactics and keeping us focused on immigrants. Marsha Blackburn, her plan is to send them into space. She said, we're going to get these illegal aliens out of here by plane, train, or starship. So absurd. She and Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans want us to be focused on this and not focused on how bad the economy is doing for everyday Americans, not the Epstein files.
People need to understand the scope and the scale of what's happening. ICE, biggest private army in the world now. It's the budget for ICE is bigger than almost any country's military.
They also have the money that's going to Core Civic to all the detention centers, like in Mason, Tennessee.
That's right. It's a business venture. ICE agents themselves are bounty hunters. They're getting paid per body. And then the detention centers, Core Civic, which they're a big presence here in Tennessee. They're born here in Tennessee. Opening night party as the legislature started, and there were actually
Gross.
4 Democrats that showed up to that.
Let's say those 4 names right now.
Camper, Mitchell, Parkinson, and Miller.
Call
at
your
that-
reps.
But to your point, Core Civic makes money every night. One of those people stays in their detention center. As we've learned, barely feeding them, not giving them health care, treating them really poorly. They're cutting costs
and
wherever
they're
they can.
not responsible for sexual abuse.
Death. There's been like dozens and dozens of people who've died. One guy got choked to death, we found out. No accountability for any of this. The per person nightly rate that they're charging taxpayers, it's like the Ritz-Carlton.
It's crazy because, I do work in government, and I can tell you the state pays Shelby County $73 a day to hold a prisoner. The baseline in most county jails is $41. We had negotiated up to $73. Our actual cost is around $112 per day. So we lose money every day. Compare it to $41 a day, because that's the statewide baseline. I guarantee you Core Civic is getting more.
What is
10,
your general
20
feeling
times
about
more.
the Memphis Safe Task Force? Obviously, a lot of bragging about how amazing a job they're doing from Governor Lee and the Republicans. Governor Lee was actually caught lying about the numbers. Any arrest, they make it seem like was a rapist. Most of the arrests they're making are people who have no criminal record whatsoever. And then they take credit for numbers coming down, which I know that last year in Memphis, the numbers were already coming down before the National Guard got there.
Just so you know, our Memphis Safe Task Force, when they talk about all the agencies that are there, they also include the MPD. So every arrest that we'd already be making, they're taking credit for that too. They're also taking credit for finding children.
Yeah.
What happens is somebody calls and says, hey, my kid ran away. And so they're finding them at their parents' house, at their school. Hey, is Joe Smith here? Oh, yeah, he came back the next day. Oh, we found a child. Taking credit for serving warrants, and most of them are on misdemeanors, failure to appear in court kind of warrants. Good chunk of these arrests are administrative arrests, and that's the immigration enforcement. So they are racially profiling brown people in our community, pulling them over. They will not even say if it was for a broken tail light, expired tags, and then they disappear. And so we see those every single day. 90+% are brown and black people. We are a majority minority city, but not to that extent. So they are very clearly racially profiling and disproportionately impacting our minority communities. And they're overwhelming our courts and our jails, not actually making us any safer. We were in Memphis going down in crime. We were doing that because we invested in our police and our first responders in new technology, and we invested in mental health supports, raising wages and housing, and a whole plethora of other programs to help support people so that they don't fall into a life of crime. They're also suppressing some crime. Domestic violence is a real problem. And if you're an immigrant, say, and you're getting beaten, you're now less likely to call the police. That continues to happen. What happens is women die. They're not helping with crime. They're not solving crime. We have 1,450 National Guard troops here. I have seen them at Target, the mall, Crosstown Concourse. They're not making any arrests. They're not helping us, but they do have their rooms booked through November of 2026.
They're there until the election, is basically what you're saying.
Where they currently located, that's a warehouse. There is electricity, and they're not reimbursing us for it, and they're open 24/7. It's eating up our budget. So we can't do the things that we want to do, like violence reduction, interveners in gang situations. We can't do that work because we're paying for lights, porta potties for the National Guard.
DeSandwich shop has a sign on their door, basically says no ICE agents. We don't want to serve ICE agents. In response, the quote unquote Memphis Safe Task Force showed up and filled up their parking lot with National Guard and basically intimidated the owner, wouldn't leave. Memphis PD came and wouldn't do anything about it. Eventually, I think they may have called the council or something.
They called me.
They called you. Okay,
me,
yeah. What happened?
And I got them in touch with the person who's in charge of the Memphis Safe Task Force and said that person made some calls, assessed the situation, and told everybody to leave. But yeah, that was a direct call to me. I've had conversations, tried to set up some meetings with that person. For example, I would just like a guarantee that they're not going to be at our schools. Children shouldn't be, and parents shouldn't be worried about taking their kids to school. We're seeing a huge reduction in our Hispanic population attendance. We're seeing reductions in Catholic churches, reductions in our community health centers, people going to their doctor appointments. I have friends who are American but just tan, and they say, I carry my passport with me now. So the community is being terrorized in a lot of ways, and I want to work with that leadership and say, can we make schools a safe haven?
The answer is going to be no, because what they're doing now is they're taking Stephen Miller's legislation, and Tennessee is going to be leading the charge, making schools less safe. They want kids not to go to school. They want kids afraid to even apply. Tennessee Republican supermajority was asked, are basically we going to turn schools into informants? If you try to go to a school, just applying might get them turning you into ICE. Are they going to require schools to turn kids into ICE just for applying? Bo Watson did not have the answer for that. Speaker Sexton did not have the answer for that. We know Tennessee schools don't want that, but we know
Teachers
Stephen
don't
Miller
want that.
does.
Principals don't want that.
Stephen
It
Miller
doesn't help
wants
our
that.
community. If we have a bunch of uneducated people in our community, that doesn't help us. That's disgusting to me, as particularly as a mom. It's really disgusting to me. And it's one of the reasons why I'm running and why I hope people will get behind our campaign, not to be like pushing that right now, but truly we need a check on the power. A lot of these people, like the ones you mentioned, are representing very gerrymandered districts. They are picking their voters instead of their voters picking them. Well, the great thing about the governor's race is you can't gerrymander a whole state. And they have absolutely no check on their power right now. You know, I think about Andy Beshear a lot. He's a Democrat, has a Republican supermajority. And when they pass some hateful anti-trans bill, he vetoes it. Do they override him? Sometimes, but at least he has made them be accountable, brought visibility to the issue. We have enough people here, whether it's Democrats, independents, or Republicans, that are sick of there just being no check on the power.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing about the governor's race, the only statewide race about state issues. You explain to people why they should vote for you. I want to give you a chance, though. Why shouldn't they vote for Marsha Blackburn? What is it about Marsha Blackburn?
I mean, how long do you want to do this live for?
Never has a town hall, won't face the press. What should people know about Marsha?
Yeah, we have a couple of videos up, one about opioids and trying to get answers for why she's in their pocket instead of worrying about hundreds of thousands of Tennesseans that die of overdose every year. And we have one up about the Epstein files. Silence is complicity in the abuse of these women and children. Just pro-sex offender, I guess. I don't know. There are so many issues. People are always like, are you going to attack Marsha? Are you going to, get down and dirty? And I'm like, I'll just tell people her record. First off, she's hardly done anything. Nothing positive for Tennessee. She's a career politician. She's in her mid-70s. I guess she sees this as a nice retirement. If you think Bill Lee has been a doormat for Donald Trump, understand Marsha Blackburn is going to be throwing him a parade. She thinks that what Stephen Miller's doing is fantastic. She welcomed the National Guard. She's welcoming ICE. She consistently votes against the interest of working Tennesseans, living wages and affordability. When SNAP was being cut, what did she do? She snuck in $500,000 to line her pockets so that she could sue a legitimate person in process that was investigating January 6th. If you're worried about people getting your phone records, maybe don't be texting the president about insurrections. Consistently named one of the most corrupt politicians in the country. I think people are sick of it. They want government to be less chaotic, somebody who has some compassion. She's not well liked on the other side of the aisle. Every single day, people say, I'm a Republican. I've never voted for a Democrat. I can't stand Marsha Blackburn. I'm voting for you. We have a real chance. It's really a purple state. This moment in time is different. And what we've seen in special elections is that we have the ability to move every single county up and down the ballot to lift up Democratic values and ideals, again, to be a check on that power, because she is not going to be that. She is going to sign off on every single insane thing that Donald Trump says and wants, taking over Greenland or denying people health care while we kidnap a president in Venezuela. I think her record on women is shameful. She is not there to support, which is half our population. She's not going to help you with the affordability of your groceries. She doesn't care. She's not going to hold a town hall, like you said. I've already had 50 stops across the state. I answer questions at every single one. I answer the press. She has closed door meetings with invited press, and then they can't quote her directly. That's not what a leader should do. And it doesn't matter if you're a farmer that's being hurt by tariffs, if you're a veteran that's being left behind, know that Marsha Blackburn's not going to work for you, but that I will.
Where can people support your campaign?
Green4governor.com. Come there. We're on all the socials, much to my dismay, Unlike you, that's not where I like to live. It is where people are. We're out in the community. We're all snowed in right now, but I'm hoping by next weekend we've thawed out and we'll be back on the road. So come find us in your community. And if you want me to come to your community, we have a link on our website. Invite us to come out. I want to talk to Tennesseans. We've already written 22,000 handwritten postcards that we're going to be mailing out to rural voters to remind them there's somebody that's running in this race that actually will work for them. Phone banking, we'll have door knocking when it's not cold and icy. Be a megaphone. I encourage you to write a letter to your editor in your little local paper. This is wrong. We need to stand up for it. Get the message out there. The politicians that are in power right now need to go. There are ways that you can do it right here at home today. If you're disgusted, dismayed, just fed up, find your place and plug in, and don't let them take your power. Don't assume this election is over. It is not. It hasn't even begun yet. What Afton did in C7, moving that district by double digits, we can build on that across the whole state. Look, Andy Bashir won his first race by like 0.1% or something. We do that, we change the whole trajectory of Tennessee.
Jerri, good luck to you. We'll be watching.
Y'all go follow the holler and get a hat. I have one hat. I love it. It's time for me to get another one.
You got it.